Hey, it's DK. I'm gonna be showing you how to Instaboost-Clip and like the setups that I have for each level. So, starting off with 01, I'm just gonna be showing you some tips and tricks and how to actually do it. All it really is just doing an Ultra Boost, which is when you shoot a core eject with a mal rail when you're in a corner and aiming 45 degrees away from the corner. And then you just slide into the Ultra Boost. So, some tips and tricks is like don't hold WA or S or D in the corner. I know a lot of people when they first tried it were holding S and that was messing it up and they wouldn't clip. Another thing is hold slide for well after, not well after, but like wait until after you clip to release slide. Otherwise, you may not clip purely because of that. I don't really know why that's the case, but I just found that back when I was tapping slide to clip, I wasn't getting it anywhere near as often as when I'd hold slide to clip. Um, yeah, and really just make sure that you're sliding after you shoot the malrail shot. That timing is really important. It's kind of hard to get down fully, but if you can, it helps out a lot. Anyways, for lining up 01, I just go with the left like quarter or so of this secret orb and about midway up, maybe aim a bit lower, because that helps with consistency a little bit. So there, I shot the malrail too late, and I slid too early. As you could maybe see, if you're paying super close attention, I actually left the corner during the freeze frames, which don't want to happen. There we go. So, O2 is a little unique in that for some reason it gets super consistent if you just let the core ejects go a bit farther away from you than you might usually let it. Obviously, you don't want it to go so far away from you that it hits the wall or whatever, but instead of doing like a straight up, like, first X amount of frames Ultra Boost or Insta Boost, let it kind of, go through the air for another like 100 milliseconds or so. And then as far as lining it up goes, look for this line. You want to do pretty much anything past the third light kind of strip here. The farther left you go, the easier it tends to be out until I think here. However, you get like a really bad angle, like it sends you out this way and the checkpoint's that way, so you want to have as straight of an angle as possible. But just like that. Like I said, let it go out a bit farther than usual, and you should be pretty good where that's concerned. That's unfortunate. For O3, I'm just gonna activate cheats real quick because I want to turn off Sword Machine so he doesn't mess with me while I'm doing this. Important thing to mention is if you do practice this, it helps to have no weapon cooldown turned on. But if you are going to practice this, don't activate no clip. If you activate no clip and then deactivate it, for some insanely weird reason, you can like Ultra Boost clip through any wall in the game. It's really strange, and I don't know how that works, but just something to keep in mind. So for lining this one up, it's just kind of, you can see this little step down here. You want to go with this line, this closer line, and then just more of the same thing, really. Uh, 04 is a little weird. I just started learning it a couple days ago. But you want to aim above the door there, like I did. And that's really all I have on it. Because I haven't been practicing it a whole bunch, I don't have too many tips and tricks on how to make it super consistent. Uh, Other than when I just kind of straight go for it rather than trying to line it up, it tends to work more often for me. I don't really know how that affects it or if it's just kind of superstition, but you know, your mileage may vary. The one in 05, much like the one in 04, I probably should have mentioned, isn't a huge deal. These ones only save about 2 seconds, so if you're having troubles with them, don't really worry about it too much, unless you're going for IL world records or like layer world records, that kind of thing. But for new runners, I would just say learn the other ones mostly. So for this one, wait until the second Cerberus's body hits the ground, checkpoint, turn your back to the door, and just kind of make sure you're directly in the center of it. You can line it up with that metal panel on the floor, just the center of that, and you can just go straight through. 1-1 though is a very important one. This saves like 20 seconds or so. It's a bit harder than some of the other ones because this is where you do it, right next to this torch. So you're on kind of a tight timing because you have to do it before the core eject hits the torch and it's really close. But for lining it up, I take the bend here in the torch, sort of like inward bend, and I line it up with these two middle pixels just right in between them. Launch yourself over here, hit the checkpoint, and then you're right at the end. One two is another good one to learn because it saves about 10 seconds. However, I'm gonna real quick turn on cheats again to blind enemies so that we don't have to worry about these filth. When you're doing this in an actual like run or IL or whatever, you can either go straight through the checkpoint, run into this corner, and then you have to do it really quickly. Or you can, like, if you mess it up at all, you can just checkpoint. It respawns you right here, so it's really not a huge deal. And then all you're lining it up with is just where these two walls meet. And I know some people, like, an Imagination says he has a lot easier time aiming farther down. I personally like it about here, but just kind of mess with it a little bit, figure out what works best for you, as kind of each individual person's slide timings are slightly different, and that's what's really impacted by your vertical positioning. It's kind of weird, and it definitely takes some time to get a feel for this trick, but sort of keep that in mind. But yeah, just go right through, and you're right at the end. And then 1-3 is going to be the last limbo level with an Ultrakill. This one's not a huge deal. It saves a couple seconds for any percent if you do it perfectly, but it's good to have regardless. Like, you sit in this corner, and then you've got this pillar over here. You want to aim about here on like the left side of the pillar, the darker spot on it. And then you can either go underneath or go through that door and hit the checkpoint. Once you hit the checkpoint, checkpoint. And then it's the same thing as usual. Anyways, then it's Tube 2 is the next one. This one's really nice. On average, I'd say it saves like an easy 3 seconds. Again, it's pretty similar to like 04, 05, or 1-3, where it's not a huge deal if you don't get it, because the alternative is only a couple seconds slower, so especially for new runners, it's not a huge deal if you're not doing it. Definitely just focus on having clean movement. But here's how this one looks. This one's a little rough because you not only need the angle to clip, right, which is, 45 degrees away, but you need to be aiming slightly to the right because there is a pipe on this side here. I'll just show you what that looks like. So if you don't do the right angle, you get caught on this pipe here. And the vast majority of angles in that corner will put you out like that. So you want to aim slightly to the right. And if you do that right, it'll launch you up like this. And it's really nice and fast. And then 2-2 is the last Ultra Boost clip until 4-3. 4-3 is pretty simple. It's definitely one of the easier ones, in my opinion. To line this one up, you just look under the Cerberus's, like, around, like, his foot kind of area, maybe closer to his left toes, kind of. And then aim at the dark spot here on the brazier. Ah, that was weird. Okay. Usually it launches you up, and then you can, oh wow, I missed. Usually it launches you up, and then you can slam down into a CE snipe to get over the checkpoint. But it's not a huge deal either way. There's quite a few different ways to do it. Anyways, that's how to Ultra Boost clip, as well as all the setups for each level. Ooh. Right there, I just got a pretty lucky version of it. Too bad I choked it. Sometimes, yeah, you will get lucky ones like that, where it just sends you through at like a weird angle, and you retain all your momentum in a completely different direction than usual, but yeah, just kind of, I guess, try to roll with the punches. This trick is pretty inconsistent for a lot of people. It is really punishing and really difficult to get a feel for, but if you put enough practice, you can totally get it down and absolutely nail them for full game runs, that sort of thing. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I look forward to seeing people's runs, or more people incorporate this into their runs. Yeah, peace.